Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my fellow primate,
Mike Cunningham.
and we are the Meddling Kids. And today we'll be reviewing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Good to have you here. We like to review movies. For those of you who've come before, welcome back. Let's talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I feel every time you say it, you need to lower your voice a little bit. It's the only thing that's allowed now.
That's how Caesar would do it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. But yeah, so don't worry if you have not seen this movie yet. We won't spoil anything for the first, let's call it 5-10 minutes. We'll give you a spoiler-free review from 0 to 5 with their overall thoughts. Then we'll give you some background, and then we'll get into our play-by-play. All right, so Mike, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Oh, I'm sorry. Mike, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, 0 to 5. What'd you give it?
4. Strong 4. I didn't realize it was like, I keep telling people this is, I didn't realize how much I've enjoyed this new iteration of the Planet of the Apes like saga.
Mm-hmm.
I think I really enjoyed the one that Tim Burton did, but I was also young, so I didn't get the flaws of that film because it came out in 2000. I was 11. What do you want from me?
Yeah, that one forever. I was like a little kid. I remember when that one came out. But
Yeah, so just like I remember liking that, but I think I just like the concept of the planet being run by apes and stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed this concept. So when it came back in 2014 with Rise, I didn't like rush to the theaters, but when I did see it, I really enjoyed it, and I found myself every time one of these dropped, I got it because they definitely took their time with these, obviously with the CGI and like with the motion capture stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like I found myself really excited for the next iteration. I think it's because of the fact that each one, in my opinion, got better and better with the storytelling, with the character building, with the world building, and seeing how this world basically deteriorates into the original Planet of the Apes. And I've just really enjoyed this story being told. So like with this one, I was really excited when I saw the first trailers. But I mean, they kept the cinematography was great. Obviously, the motion capture, it really looks real. I think I can appreciate like what James Cameron has done with Avatar, and then like what these movies have done with the Planet of the Apes. Like it looks incredible. Like just having an all ape cast, but back in the 70s, it was like a full makeup and all this stuff and costuming. But the way they're able to capture these apes on screen is just amazing. I think this one, so focus on this actual movie. Yeah, but the cinematography was great. I think the acting was amazing. I really enjoyed the story. It did have a few lulls in the middle, and I do feel like they started out the story in a way that you thought it was going to be about the three with Noah and his two friends. So I mean, it was still a journey type, a revenge journey type of thing, or just like a journey type of film. But the cast of characters that went on the journey was different than I would have liked. I think that's kind of my only gripe with the storytelling. But it was really interesting to see. It was like this is a continuation of the trilogy, but it also kind of did its own thing. You got a new character, very Caesar-esque, but still his own character. I think the storytelling was great. Even like the villain was really like interesting, and it was like it's interesting with this story because as a human being, I feel like I should be rooting for the humans, but like the apes are just so relatable, and I think it's because of the fact that like they're not telling ape stories; you're just telling human stories with with the protagonist, quote unquote, being apes, and I think that's what a big draw to this film. It was just like you're just telling a human story, and this one was interesting with like the people's interpretation of religion and like things like that, and how it can get misconstrued throughout the generations, being based on who's teaching it, who's enforcing it, type of thing. So I really enjoyed this story. So I really sorry.
No.
I got lost in train of thought because I want to see this one again in a regular seat because I saw it in 40X, and depending on who you are, like maybe certain audiences do really like the 40Xs. The one I went to on Thursday was full. Like it was like the full 40X theater was full. Like there was no seat left unturned, type of thing. So I was like, is this always the case, or is it just this movie? Like this is my first time doing 40X, so I'm not used to the experience.
It was the same for me at mine, actually. It was like, I mean, maybe not full, but like when I was even trying to get tickets, like a couple hours before the movie, like when you
Mhm.
text me, oh, 40X, like the entire like 4 or 5 back rows were all full. So I was able a little closer, but still like 3 or 4 rows back. When I got there, even all the front ones were full. My biggest complaint about 40X, man, if water didn't spray directly in my eye, when they were like doing some of these scenes, and I was like grossed out.
Oh, as soon as I said go,
I tried to
I
turn
put
it
it
off and it
right
still
on
sprayed
there. I
water
said,
in.
no, no, no. The last thing I'm about to leave this theater is wet. The fuck out of
Dude.
here.
So like I thought I turned it off. It was still spraying at me. Some got in my eye. So like for part of the rest of the movie, I was literally like kind of grossed out. I was like, where has this water been and why is it in my eye right now? Other than that, no, I agree with 40X. But yeah,
Yeah, so
sorry.
all in all to say, I really, really love this movie. Like the story was incredible. Um, I think the villain was great, and it was just like it's one of those villains where just like you can see their side of it, even though like obviously he's the antagonist in this, so like you should be kind of pushing back in a way, but you can still see his side, and I really enjoy when they have a kind of a layered type of antagonist in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed everything about this movie. I definitely, like I said, I want to see it again in a regular seat, not one that's just rock and rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend this movie. And like I said, it was a great addition to the trilogy, the reboot trilogy that they were doing. So I'm really excited to see um what they do next. Obviously, it'll be a few years until we get another one, but I can't wait, honestly. So
Nice.
for me,
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Mike. All right. So I'm also glad to have heard your review first because you have changed my mind slightly. At first, I was thinking like I was debating between 3 or 3.5 of like, yeah, it's a pretty good movie, but I'm not sure how blown away I was it. I wasn't sure with like some parts of the story, but I also didn't think of the story through the lens of like seeing religion over the years, and also that this takes place 300 years later, to see how multiple people have taken Caesar's message and then divided it, and like one is used it more for conquer, one is used it for other things. So I was like, no, that's a really good way of viewing it as well. So yeah, I'm going to up it to a 3.5. I'm not sure if I'm going to give it the full on 4, but I'm going to give it a 3.5 because yeah, I do think. Well, first and foremost, and this is more of a flaw of me as a human being. I can't root for anybody but human beings. I don't care who you are. I don't care the humans like except for like Pandora, except for like Avatar, because I recognize humans aren't nice in Avatar. I recognize that, but it's still pretty damn hard for me to not be like, yeah, but I want humans to win. All right, so I'm a monster. I recognize this. I'm working on it, but so the whole time I'm like, man, I can't wait till these humans just take the planet back over and like beat all these stupid monkeys.
the problem with that is the fact that since this is like I said, this whole series is leading up into the original.
Yeah,
So like we know where that. So that's what the problem with prequels, right? You know where this is going. Who gives it? Like in a way, who gives a shit? That's how I
yeah,
kind of feel about like Furiosa that comes out in a few weeks. But it was like
mhm,
I know where this ends. So like this first one, these prequels don't really have any. There's no anticipation. Like there's
yeah,
no like you can't induce anxiety because I know how this ends. Like if they're in a precarious situation, I know they're gonna get out of it. Just wrap it up. So,
yeah,
so talking about the humans and like hoping that they went out in the end. It was like I know how the original
yeah,
goes, so just like I know where this leads. So like in no way, I'm really like I said for me, it was this whole series has been showing you how we got there. So it
yeah,
started with the first outbreak and then humans trying to survive and like slowly going feral and stuff like that. So it's
hmm
like I'm just curious to see how they built up the world
from it.
where it is a planet of the apes, right? Where we're slowly but surely getting there. So
Yeah,
like the humans really don't matter to me in that sense. And like I said, that's why I appreciate the fact that this is since it's all apes, the main cast
hmm
for the most part. It is a human story. So like, yeah, they got fur, they walk weird, they climb and stuff like that. But it was like I could understand like a coming of age type of story, or like fighting against the mainstream type of thing. So it's like that's just a story any human being
hmm
can relate to. Yeah, it's just coming out of a monkey's mouth or like a monkey
yes.
experience it. But I can still understand that story, and you know what I'm saying. So, but sorry, go on.
No, I can completely understand that story too. The problem is the humans get the short end of the stick for this story, so fuck it. All right. But
Hey,
no,
I'm not a humanist or anything like that, but I mean, literally, the opening text card said because we got destroyed because of our own hubris. Okay, it sounds like we earned it.
All I'm saying is, if it were between me and like if humanity was getting beat down, and you see that big red button that says blow up a lot of stuff, I would have pressed the big red button to make sure humans win. All right, but I digress. But yeah, no, so but as a whole, I think the story was very good. Obviously, like an epic of definitely like it's not. I will say with the story, it was still a little simpler. I found a little of
Mhm.
just like going through, but so a little simpler story with just a little bit more of like an epic scale with everything. As you continue to see that go, yeah, I mean, I think you voice capture effects, everything, they're all going to be good. They're all going to be really solid. It is crazy with even while like they're talking just how far we've come. To have like these are very realistic looking apes. Because I remember seeing some of the old Planet of the Apes movies too, or like the Tim Burton one. They did not look nearly as good, and that's not his fault. It was 2001. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? But yeah. So it has come leaps and bounds. I will also say I've only seen the first of the reboot. So I think it
Okay.
was 2011. So it's 2011, 2014, 2017, and this one, I think, right? Something like that.
No, one came out in 2020,
Yeah. Yeah.
2017, 2014, I believe.
So yeah, yeah, I saw the 24. I saw the original. When
Mhm.
Caesar was in the cage and Caesar
But
got scared.
that's Rise with James Franco.
Yes, yeah, I saw that one, and then I was like, yeah,
Oh,
I
you're
don't
right,
want to see.
2011. Oh, you were correct.
Woo! Yeah,
It was
but
11,
either way,
14, 17.
yeah.
Apologies.
No worries. Yeah. So either way, I was like, yeah, I saw the first one and I was like, I don't feel like seeing humans get their asses beat by monkeys. So then I did not watch the two
What is so
afterwards.
funny? Do you watch Transformers like, I hope these giant robots eat it? Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? Shia LaBeouf was instrumental in those Transformer
What?
movies. And then I really didn't watch any of the Transformer movies after that. But yeah, so, but going back to it, I'm still giving this a 3.5. I think there's a lot of phenomenal action sequences. You do get a lot of emotion. All my jokes aside, like you can really feel for these monkeys, but you can really feel for them and like see everything, through their eyes. And it is even a way where the ending can kind of make you uncomfortable in a certain way because you have like here's the protagonist and he's doing the best he can to piece everything together, and then you see the other character who in her own way is another protagonist as well, and you're like, oh, she's kind of the bad guy here,
Mhm.
like, and you're just like, oh. And so the fact it was able to do that and kind of like elicit those emotions were really cool. So yeah, I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. I definitely say go see it. I will say too, from watching this, I know Disney Plus has all the Planet of the Apes movies on it. I think even like some of the older ones. So I'm like, all right, might be time for me to sit down and do a Planet of the Apes marathon and just
Yeah, I wanted to watch at least the trilogy before this one, but it was just like it's one of those things like I'm not gonna just put it on in the background. I really want to sit and like study it, and I just didn't have the time.
for
Um,
sure.
so, but I definitely want to go back and watch it because honestly, I've never even seen the Charleston Heston one, like the original.
Hmm.
I've seen like the like because I watch a lot of like video essays on film, so I've
Yeah.
seen like people break it down, but I've never actually sat and watched it. Like the first one I saw was 2001's the Tim Burton one. So
Yeah, well, it makes sense. We were kids, but yeah, I think I might have seen some of the, and even like this beach scene that was pretty, reminiscent of like past
Mhm.
beach scenes in the older Planet. When you go like the beach where they're at, where there's all the destruction, that's pretty reminiscent of the other Planet of the Apes movies as
Mhm.
well. Yeah. So yeah, cool. All right, let's get some background on this thing. What do we hear?
Okay, so Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was released on May 10th, 2024. The runtime is 2 hours and 25 minutes. The budget was 160 million. The box office, since it just came out this weekend, we don't know for sure, but the projection is about 50 million
Okay.
domestic, and I think about 80 or so international. So like about like 130 million opening weekend. We'll see,
Hmm.
but I'm hoping like people are excited for this. Like I mean, we haven't had a like I guess Dune is like the biggest movie of the year for the most part, and then like Kung Fu Panda and stuff like that. But we haven't had like $1 billion movie this year. So I mean I don't know. We'll see, but I'm hoping this one does really well.
Yeah.
Just because of one, just the quality, and I feel like we do need a big summer blockbuster. The Fall Guy really wasn't that, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
As of right now, the Rotten Tomatoes is 80% and 80% for both the critics and the audience. The genre is action, adventure, sci-fi. The director is Wes Ball, who helmed the Maze Runner trilogy.
Okay.
The cast is Owen Teague as Noah, Freya Allen as Nova slash May, Kevin Durand as Proximus Caesar, Peter McCone as Raka, William H. Macy as Treviathan. I feel like he said it Trevathan or some shit like that. He
Oh
said a
yeah.
name and I was just like, okay, just say your name is Trey, guy. What are we doing? It's just post apocalypse. You can make up
Yeah.
your own name.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, heck yeah, whatever.
Uh, Travis Jeffrey as Anya, Linda Peckham as Suna, and Neil Sandilands as Koro. And then the tagline is "No one can stop the rain."
No one can stop the rain.
That's the REIGN.
Got you. All right, cool. Yeah, I was like rain. I was like,
Kingdom Reign. Yeah.
yeah, fair enough. It's like, excuse me, excuse the fuck out of me. I was like, what the
He
hell?
said, "Get an umbrella, dumbass."
I'm like, I don't think it rained once in this movie. I don't know. It did. It rained one time. Got you. Awesome, Mike. Thank you so much. A quick word from our sponsors and what we have going on in our lives before we get on to our play-by-play. Hey, what's going on? I'm Edward Hunt. I'm on the Milan Babington team of Compass in the DMV. That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I'm located out of DC. But yeah, if you need any advice on the market or anything going on, feel free to reach out anytime, and I can hook you up with what's happening. Also, more than that, if you need lenders, contractors, etc., I have some phenomenal resources for you, so I can make sure to pass them on to you as well, and do anything home related. Also, I'm Edward Hunt of Hunt Comics. I have Evil is a Weapon issue 1. Oh, and edwardhuntwriting.com, where I just need to update that thing a little more. I'm working on short stories and blog posts, so I'll steadily post. But of Hunt Comics, Evil is a Weapon, issue 1's on Global Comics and Amazon, and we should have more stuff coming soon for you. Mike, anything going on with you want to share?
Yes. So in June, I will be doing the push-up challenge again. It's just an organization an organization that supports men's mental health and suicide prevention. So like we'll just be doing one push-up every day for all of the suicide. What is it? The suicide deaths for the previous year to kind of support people like getting help and like getting mental health help if you need it so that we can bring those numbers down. But yeah, so I'll be doing that in June. I'll supply the links if you want to donate or join in. So yeah, but that's about it. So that'll be happening in June.
Great. Yeah, I'm down to do push-ups as well. So, and this is also a very good cause. So, I will most likely be joining with that too. But cool. All right. So, if you have not seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes yet, and you want to before you get any spoilers, now's probably the time to log off. Just make sure you come join us back so you can figure out what we thought of this play-by-play. How's it start, Mike? I literally don't know. I was 5 minutes late. How's this movie start?
Okay, so it opens up. We meet the trio, and this is what I'll like hop on this a little bit later. But it was like we meet the trio of Suna, Anya, and Noah, and they're kind of on the hunt for eagle eggs. So like they have to climb the big tree to get the eagle eggs once the eagle has kind of left the nest. And so they get to a nest, the three of them, because they need these eggs for like some ceremony that's going to happen the next day. And so like they get to a nest, there's three eggs, and there's three of them. And like, so I think Suna or Anya is like, oh, perfect. But Noah, and this is how you can tell he's going to be the main character because he has like integrity. But so he says like, no, there's three here, but we always leave one behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like he offers to have his two friends take their eggs so they can do the ceremony, and he'll just have to wait another year. And so you even just from these little actions, you do see that one, he's the main character, but also kind of like what type of man he is. He's very honorable. He lives by the code that of the law that has been taught to him. He's always looking out for his friends. So it was just very interesting to see within like 1 minute of screen time, you see this about him.
Yeah.
And so Suna and Anya take eggs, and then they're going to leave, but Noah wants to explore a little bit more, so he climbs a higher tree by himself, and you kind of see his. It starts out. I mean, hear this several times in the movie about him being a very clever ape, and you
Mhm.
can just see him kind of like it's a far jump, so like he knows he can't do it on his own, so he like kind of uses tools in order to climb up the tree, and it was like very just interesting to see how his mind works and how he problem solves. And so he climbs the bigger tree and he finds a few more eggs, and so he grabs one, and I think this is where you get your first action scene where like as he's grabbing the egg, the eagle comes back and tries to attack him, and so like he falls down the side of the tree, but he's able to save himself because obviously the apes have four hands instead. But it was just interesting to see. It was like an action scene, but like it just this whole sequence was like just very very well shot, and it was like this is when the 40X started. So like as they're climbing the tree, you
Mhm.
also see like the chair is trying to attempt to do the same action. It didn't hit the same, honestly. Like, and I felt bad because the dude next to me. So I ate whatever I got, like fries or some shit like that. I ate it before the even previews came on. But I was like, if this chair is gonna be moving, I'm not gonna be shaking.
Yeah.
But the dude next to me did not get that memo, so he's sitting there trying to drink his drink and eat his popcorn and just like shaking all over the place. I was like, this is just going.
Actually, fun fact: there was Felicia and I saw Dune Part One in 40X, and we
Mhm.
actually snuck in Shake Shack because there's a Shake Shack right by the. And I was so glad we ate our food before the movie started because otherwise, yeah, I would have had like a burger and ketchup and fries just going all over the place. Would not have been a good time.
It was frustrating because it was like I didn't have a seatbelt, so I'm sitting here like sliding on the chair.
Yeah,
I'm like,
and you just slide down every time. Slide down again.
oh, but yeah. So back to the movie. Yeah. So the three of them get their eggs. They head back to their clan, their little village, and we kind of see we meet. First, we meet Noah's mother. It was a cute little moment where like the some of the younglings, I guess, in their clan, some of the younger kids like see the older guys come back, and it was like, did you get it? Did you climb the big tree and stuff like that? So you kind of see this it's basically a rite of passage that these three are going to be going through the next day. They're very, I guess these younger kids look up to them. So you kind of see this very wholesome community, very tight knit. You find that they are eagle riders or something like not, they don't ride them, but it was just like
They
they
use
breed eagles. Yeah,
yeah,
huh?
they use
Yeah,
them
so
for
this
hunting.
clan breeds eagles. Noah's father is the eagle master or whatever, and so yeah, he very much is trying to, I guess, show his worth of it, like to his both his parents or
Yeah.
whatever. And this is what I was talking about, the humanness of it. Like you see his bond with his friends, Suna and Anya. You see his like trying to make his father proud and stuff like that. And it was like these, like I said, these are just human stories. Like anybody can relate to this. If there was never a human on screen, I think it would have still been a great film, right?
Oh yeah. I
In my
probably
opinion, obviously the humanist over here thinks otherwise, but
no. I would have preferred it because that's the thing. If you didn't have any humans in here, you wouldn't have given me anyone to root for rather than these guys. But that's what it comes down to. 'Cause
yeah.
yeah.
So he goes to his dad. He goes to his dad oh, so really quickly, sorry.
Mhm.
When they climbed down the tree and they were heading back to the village, they saw like some movement in the forest, and he recognizes that his blanket was taken,
Mhm.
and so they attack whoever because I think Suna throws like a slingshot, a rock at the whoever stole, and the thief kind of runs and they run to this like tunnel, and they she like the thief drops the blanket, and there's a little bit of blood on it because obviously they got hit by the rock, and I think Anya wants to chase after, but it was like it's kind of the law. It's forbidden for them to go
Mhm.
past this tunnel. So he just retrieves they retrieve the blanket and then like kind of just run back. And they mentioned something. They called the assailant an echo.
Yes. Yeah.
You remember if they ever explained why? I
Um,
think it's maybe because humans just can't talk. Is that what it is?
yeah, I didn't see anything in this. They never called. Yeah, in this movie they didn't explain why. It was just his clan, his tribe called them echoes
Got
instead
it.
of humans. Yeah, that's
Okay.
all
I
we
was
got.
so I mean I didn't need it. I got that reference, but I was curious as to why that nickname,
Yeah,
right? Just up to speculation. I think maybe just because since they're feral and they don't talk, all they can kind of do is like either maybe repeat back what you say or like just kind of whisper. So I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, so when he goes back to the village, you meet his mother and his father, and he shows his father the blanket. And this is where you see too, like it'll come up a little bit later, but it was just like his father asked him, he was like, you're forbidden to go past and he was like, I didn't. And his
yeah,
father looks in his eyes and he says, I believe you.
yeah.
And you see this one of those things where like basically they don't lie, or
Hmm.
like it's like and not that it's forbidden. It's just like they just don't know the concept of it, or like deception
I
in a way.
I thought it was more like it shows because this whole time where it's going up, he like doesn't really want to meet with his father, and like this, so
Mhm.
like I think his father, who's the master of eagles or master of birds for the clan, is like very strict. But I liked that moment a lot because you saw it was like he's very strict, but once Noah said no, I didn't. The father's like,
Mhm.
I believe it because like very strict, but very like caring and like not like you know not too dictate, not too much of a
Yeah.
dictator in the relationship of like, no, no, okay, cool. There's some like things we can work on together. So I thought it was a good way of showcasing their relationship as well with
Yeah, no,
this.
no, no, definitely. I think what I
Uh,
brought up about the deception and stuff like that is because it's something that we'll see later that
mhm.
Noah's like truly like somebody lies to him,
Oh,
and
fair.
he's really taken aback by just the concept of being lied to.
Got
And I
you.
think
Yeah.
that's these moments is why.
No, good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's to me it planted something for later, but
Gotcha. No, that's no, absolutely. I didn't connect that, but I totally see that why he was so shaken about like the whole
mm,
trust and everything now later.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then so the elders review the like not review, but they inspect the blanket
Hmm.
because they can smell that it's like not an ape. It was definitely a human, even though they call them echoes. And so they send out one of their warriors to go kind of rid their valley or their area of any echoes.
Hmm.
And so what happens? I guess nothing much. And then later that night, Noah wakes up because like his mom the fishing something like 'cause I guess his mom is also like the fish catcher or something like that or whatever.
Oh yeah, well they definitely like they have the eagles and the birds. The birds bring them fish, and then like they smoke the fish and stuff over
Yeah.
there, preserve it and cook it.
Well,
So
one of the stands that that hung the fish was broken, so like he woke up in the middle of the night to fix it.
yeah,
So you do see that his cleverness. He's very inventive, very curious, like a very scientific or engineering mind.
hmm,
And as once he fixed that little rack, he hears like a noise in like the where they store and smoke the fish. So he goes in there, and he gets attacked by. We'll find out later. Her name is May.
yeah.
Um, but he sees her, and then like she just kind of attacks him and runs away.
Oh, she doesn't attack anything. All right, she's defending herself. All right.
You can't break into my house and then try to defend yourself. What are we doing here?
You're in this crazy world, all right, where there's no food for humans. All right, you got to do what you got to do. All right, so I would not have you besmirch the good name of my client. I mean,
Sympathizer. I can't do it. But yeah, so in their little scuffle, she breaks his egg because he had it in a like a satchel around his chest, and so like he wakes up Suna and Anya, and they're like, like the ceremony is in the morning. What are you gonna do? And
yeah.
like so, was once again, this is why I wish this movie was more centered around the three of them. I think it would
Hmm.
have been a lot better. Um, but they say that Suna is like, I'll basically break my egg or like I'll do the ceremony this and I'll just wait another season. We don't know how long that is, but basically she says the three of them will just wait.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter if one of them can't do it, none of them will. And
Hmm.
I really love this like dynamic of their friendship, but it was heavy in the beginning and then a lull in the middle and then a bit at the end. But it was like to me it should have been their whole journey should have been together.
Fair.
You know,
Hmm.
type. That's just little nitpicks about the progression of the narrative.
Yeah.
but yeah, so Noah says, "No, that's okay. I'm going to go find an egg, like in the middle of the night." And
Like, I'm just gonna figure it out. Yeah.
and so and because you do see this, the kind of the pressure, because Anya says he is the Eagle Master's son. That his dad will make a an exception,
Yeah.
and he goes, no, Noah goes, he is my father. So it is, even though I know he loves me, he respects me, but like this ceremony is very vital to our clan. So
Hmm.
like he's not going to make an exception just because I'm his son. He might
Yeah.
even look on me a little bit harder, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
There's like he does push him, but there's still love
Yep.
there. And so he heads out into the forest with his horse to find an egg before the sun rises. And so I think as he's like, so he's in the forest, I think he sees like a fire or something like that. And like you
Yeah.
kind of see like a few apes in the background of it.
Well,
And
yeah,
so
he
like,
sees the fire, and then he hears like the apes screaming and like the sound
yeah,
of electricity and stuff.
yeah.
Going. Yeah.
Oh, I think the light was the electricity. There it
Yeah.
is.
The light was the electric from the. Yeah.
And so he goes to inspect it. So like gets off his horse and goes to inspect it, and he just sees kind of a massacre. And there's like 3 or 4 apes laying dead.
Hmm.
And
But they
then
all have masks on. That was like,
and they have masks on. Yeah.
that was the problem. Like for me coming into this at first, like by the end of the movie, I was like, okay, cool. When this movie started, I'll be honest, I couldn't really tell that much of a difference, between. So like when I saw this
It
scene
was
at
also
first,
at night too.
it
So
was at
that
night, yeah. So I didn't fully recognize because I just saw apes with masks, and I was like, so those are his tribesmen as
Mhm.
well. I don't, but they weren't. They were the masked monk, of
Yeah.
apes, and then yeah, going from here.
And so, yeah, so he sees a few apes laying dead on the ground with masks on, and then he gets approached by I guess the enforcer that got sent out to clear their area of the echoes,
Hmm.
and he just says to him before he lays dead because there's a knife in his back, and he says there are more of them, and
Yeah.
so then we see like a few horsemen coming. So Noah hides in the bushes,
Yeah. Quick
and
time. Just,
yeah,
what is it? Like, what a great way to make this guy badass, because we kind of glossed over this before, but like earlier too, when Noah was like, eavesdropping on the council, this was
mhm,
the same ape who was like, "Oh, I heard you climbed to the top." Because at first, like, he looked all super intimidating and
yeah,
bravo,
yeah,
and he was like, "Nice job," and he like
yeah,
fist bumped him. And then you go here, and it's like, okay, he did kill like 3 or 4 of these
yeah,
intruder apes. He died from it, but I was just like, I want to know that ape story. You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, give me a movie all about him, and that'd be cool. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so Noah goes to hide in the bushes. Another troop comes, and they see that the bodyguard, the enforcer or whatever, had killed their scouts.
Hmm.
Um, and because they're looking for a human, they say he does the main guard. I think his name was I think that was Koro. If I think um,
Wait, so
the gorilla
the gorilla, yeah, I thought that was Silva, right?
Silva. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yakoro
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
his father.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right. You're right.
yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
I'm looking at
I
Wikipedia.
didn't write down the full cast. Like I did all the background information a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
Um, so I hadn't seen the movie to see who was vital and who
no, for sure.
wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
I
on
see. So,
Wikipedia.
so Silva says, we're looking for the human, and then it was
Mhm.
just like so they're looking at the area. They do see that the enforcer had killed their scouts, um, and then they hear Noah's horse, and they're
Yeah,
like, obviously, he hasn't traveled far, and so like they use, and this is where Noah first sees the tool, and it's like this little like cattle prod, and it was like, how the hell do they have this technology? And so they prod the horse, and then they just follow it because obviously it's gonna return back to its home,
yeah,
and like the goal is to find the clan, and hopefully they'll be able to find the human that they're searching for. And so Noah realizes, shit, I need to warn my clan, but he's on foot, so he runs all night.
hmm,
And actually, no, it's still nighttime once he gets there. But he runs back to the village. But by the time he's gotten there, Silva and his men have gotten there, and they're just burning down everything.
yeah.
Um, and this is where it was just right because it was like in the opening credits. Shit, I am so sorry. The movie actually opened with the burial of Caesar from the last movie.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I mean, it was a small blip. I apologize,
Sure.
but it was
Yeah,
at the end of War for the Planet of the Apes. Caesar gets his people to the valley,
yeah.
and then
Hmm.
he dies because of his wounds.
Okay.
And so the opening of this film is them burying his body, and then them saying the mantra "apes together strong," because that was a
Mhm.
big push from Caesar,
Yeah.
which is that. But yeah, so apologies. So um, that's how the movie opened. But anyway, so he gets to the um, Noah gets to his village, and Silva and his men are already there burning it down. And from this, I'm just like, being that I'm just taking the context of this
Mhm.
movie or what I've been told at this point, it was just like, why are they burning down fellow apes? I can see them going after humans, right? That makes all of the sense to me,
Mhm.
especially in this world.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Right. But it was just like ape versus ape seem weird, especially if they're all following the teachings of Caesar.
I mean, yes,
Right.
he's chanting for Caesar. You know, they're saying
And they're
multiple
planting
things.
for Caesar. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, and this is why I'm saying this is why I really appreciated them telling the story in this way. Because yes, there's no humans that you've really seen at this point, but it was just like it's this idea that a lot of our beliefs or like stuff like that. It was like if it's passed down through generations, it can get muddy,
Mhm.
or certain people can distort it to fit their agendas or something like that. So you just see like this corruption of philosophy or religion or beliefs
Yeah.
um, down through generations, and it was just very interesting to see because even that they're shouting for Caesar, but even before that, I'm just like, what is up with the ape versus ape fighting? I thought,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize it was
Together
300 years
strong, or
later.
I can't remember
It's
that.
I didn't realize it was 300 years later. I thought it was just 100, 150 or whatever. So like that
Yeah.
also even makes more sense because it's more time to kind of distort the message or
Mhm.
or whatever. But yeah, so he's Silva and his men are just burning down everything, and they're just capturing the eagle tribe to take them back to to their home or whatever. And we see Anya helping Noah out, saying, "Go help your father" or whatever, because even his mother was like, "Oh," because his father was still up in the tower that was
Mhm.
being burned. So he was like, "Go help your dad," and his dad is up on the top of the tower, just releasing all the eagles because like since it was nighttime, all the eagles have hoods on and they're tied to like the whatever perch or whatever. So he's up there just releasing all the eagles, before they get burned alive. And so Noah helps his dad release the eagles, and then once I think they release all the eagles at this point, and then that's when you see Silva, who had followed him up the tower,
Yeah.
and Silva's like starts attacking Noah's father, and he tells him like to bend the knee or whatever, basically like, but Noah's father refuses, and so he starts beating Silva starts beating Noah's father. Noah tries to help him, excuse, but he's like really no match. He's
Yeah.
not a fighter, number one, and he's really just no match. Excuse me, for Silva, who's this giant, gorilla.
He's a gorilla. Yeah, gorilla versus a chimpanzee. Gorillas are a
Yeah,
lot bigger and stronger. Yeah.
and so, and this is something I was watching a few video essays about this movie in the past 2 days after I'd seen it, and
Sure.
they were saying how it was very interesting that Noah really never wins a fight in this, or at least in the way that you would think a hero would. Like the normal hero's journey is like he may start out fine, a little bit weak, and
Yeah.
then through the story, he gets stronger and he's able to eventually defeat the antagonist or overcome type of thing. But it was like they did that, but in a different way
Mhm.
in this film, and I kind of really appreciated it because it was just like, I mean, once again, it was just like we've seen all these stories over and over, so it's like them finding new inventive ways to tell stories is something I really appreciate.
Yeah, and it played very well with, as you said, multiple people said it. He's a very clever ape. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like everything he did was through his own ingenuity and through figuring stuff out and problem solving and like having like
hmm
these ideas and plans for it. So it was really cool. Yeah.
and so he's not able to save his dad. Like Silva basically kicks him off the tower,
Hmm.
and he basically gets knocked out.
Yeah.
And when he wakes up, everything's burned down. There's nobody there. The clan has been taken. And then his dad's eagle, I think he called him Eagle Son or something like that.
Hmm.
His dad's eagle is still there, and he's like kind of perched over his dad's dead body. His dad,
Yeah.
dad didn't survive.
Oh, and I
Um,
think a good time to mention this too is that eagle
yeah,
before did not like Noah. Like,
yeah.
when Noah tried to reach his arm out, the eagle pecked him in the head. So they've had some.
I even appreciated that they kept that mark there.
Mhm.
I was like, it's like attention to detail in certain things, right?
Yeah.
Because so often you'll see like in a film where it's just like there's a bandit somewhere, and then the next shot it's not there, and it's just like,
Yeah.
come on, continuity, please.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so yeah, you're right. This eagle son is what they call it. His dad's like prize eagle. Doesn't like Noah, Uh, and so but he stayed there over his watching over his Noah's dad's body. So Noah sees it, he mourns him for a bit, and then he buries his father, and then he promises to bring the clan back.
Yeah.
And so we see the eagle kind of flying up above, and Noah sets out on his journey. He goes to that tunnel where they had chased away May. Um, and he just rides through it. And it was his first time leaving his little valley,
Hmm.
and like so he rides through. Yeah, sorry, I got lost. So he rides like for the day. At the nighttime, it's like windy and raining, so he just kind of like sleeps. Well, he settles down. He makes a camp, and he hears something in the distance, right? Like some in the bushes or something like that. And this would throw me off. He heard that and then just went to sleep. I said, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
Whoa, whoa,
right.
whoa, whoa!"
Just
It's in the
completely.
middle of the night and it's dark out here. Well, the last thing I'm about to do if I hear a creature
Yeah.
in the damn woods is be like, you know what? Night, night for me. What
Yeah,
I look like?
right. Yeah, it did not make any sense for that one little part. Yeah, because you have a fire going. I guess someone's got to keep that fire going while you're sleeping there,
Yeah.
bro, especially if someone's out there. So, yeah.
And so he falls asleep, wakes up the next day, and just kind of continues his journey. And then I think at some point in the forest, he sees a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, he sees smoke. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so he goes over to it, and then he falls into like it seemed like it was a trap. That's why initially I thought it was a trap.
Mm-hmm.
But he falls, and but he's able to like avoid the actual fire that's at the bottom of the pit, and he's attacked by a new ape, an orangutan, sorry, called Raka.
Yeah.
And Raka, Noah had grabbed the one of the cattle prods that was left by one of Silva's men, and it's not working, but he still just grabbed it. And so when he fell, it got discarded somewhere during the fall. So Raka grabs it and kind of threatens Noah with it, like, and he says something like, "You guys look different without the mask," or whatever. So he's had an encounter with Silva and his men as well. And Noah was just like, for some reason he couldn't talk at first. I thought maybe like it got the wind knocked out of him or
Yeah.
something.
It was just that the wind got knocked out of him so much from the landing. Yeah.
But he was just like, I'm not I'm not one of those masked apes. I don't even know how that thing works. It's, I just picked it up just because. And
Yeah.
so like Raka believes him, and then he goes on to say that
True. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, even more so of how much like with the apes of like they like you might have to repeat yourself 2 or 3 times, but like if you do it adamantly enough, they're like, "Cool, your word's law. Yep, sounds good. I believe you." Yeah. I had the thought. I was like, man, like this is the human in me. I was like, man, I could lie and just like as soon as his back's turned, just bash his head in with a rock. It literally was
I
my
think
thought.
it is one of those things where like apes don't understand deception.
Yeah, fair.
Well, obviously, yeah, maybe we'll see, but it's like it is one of those things where like that is very much a human thing, and that's why they can't
for
trust
sure.
you.
Because there was a lot of times with some of these characters, I was like, why would you trust that? I wouldn't trust that. But I was like, oh no, I'm a human. I'm a dirty, dirty human.
But yeah, so Raka says that the basically the masked apes had come and attacked him and his friend, and I think it was hinted at that was his husband or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think so. Because he said that was like he was like he is my community, or he was my community or clan.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he was.
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were involved. Yeah.
Okay, and so like he says that when the mass apes came, Raka hid, but his partner didn't, and so they killed him. So like he was like burning him in the same way that the apes had burned Caesar in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
that's why I wrapped it back around because
fair.
so I don't know if it's very ceremonial. Oh, but you do see that Raka still follows the word of Caesar like loyally. So he's wearing a pendant, which is a circle with a little star in it, because that's what in Rise, that was the window of the addict that Caesar Caesar
Yeah.
looked down on him. So it's just like that's kind of Caesar's symbol throughout these movies, and obviously it's been passed down through generations of his followers. And so we in this part of the movie, Raka is basically like educating because what's his name? Noah knows nothing about Caesar. His clan has kind of been like cut off to that world. They
Hmm.
have their own laws, but it was just like it's very much distance from what Caesar taught. So
Yeah.
like he's not he like you said when Silva's men were there burning down the village, they kept saying for Caesar, and that was the first recognition for Noah. He was like, those men kept saying for Caesar, like who is this person?
Yeah.
And then Naraka says not is, he was a was, but he was the original. He was our leader.
Hmm.
Um, and so he kind of gives a bit of background on like Caesar, his teachings, introduces Noah to books or whatever. They can't read them, but
Yeah.
he understands that the symbols have meaning, or like the symbols being the words.
Hmm.
Um, and so like he and his partners basically their journey was to one preserve these books, but also spread Caesar's true message. You know that apes together strong,
Yeah.
right? And it was like the apes don't kill other apes. Like that's another big thing from Caesar. And so they what happened? Yeah, so he's teaching about Caesar a bit, and then I think he mentions about humans or whatever, and like Rocket gives him
Mhm.
background on the fact that like in Caesar's time, both humans and apes kind of live side by side,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, obviously as we know, just from the film and just from real life, that's not necessarily true or whatever. But it was like it's the philosophy that he was trying to teach,
Yeah.
or what Caesar was trying to teach. So like yeah, afterwards I think hold on.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'll keep going. Yeah, so afterwards, we have Noah is going to keep looking for his clan, and then he mentions that a human echo keeps following him. So Raka is like, "Oh man, all right, well Raka's here." Or since the human follows it, Raka's like, "Okay, well I should keep following you then." So then they decide to all travel together. As they keep traveling along, you have what is it? Noah and Raka take shelter under the rain at some point in time, and they actually like meet May, who's like looking for food and still following them.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're at that rainy portion where Raka telling Noah to like, hey, show pity or show mercy is like throwing apples. So you see like May kind of go in and like very feral and like kind of like the difference to see that of like here's one that's more the wild animal and that's the human whom we will learn later her name is May because right now she doesn't talk. Just going
Mm-hmm.
like grabbing the apples and like curling up with the blanket. And even then, yeah, like what Noah still has from all of this is he has his mother's blue blanket, and then
Mm-hmm.
Raka tries to give it to May, and then Noah's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is too important." And then Raka's like, "Hey, they get cold. They can't stay warm like we can. They don't have fur." So then Noah kind of acquiesces, and then they give her the blanket. So then you kind of have this like nice rain scene with everything, where like they kind of all fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um yeah, so then after that they continue the journey or whatever. Oh no. In the middle of the night actually,
Hmm.
um Noah goes to like explore and he
Yeah.
finds like an observatory it seems like, and there's like this large telescope.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that
so he
happens.
looked.
I think it happens like later. I think that's when they're all traveling together, when like they're riding on the horses together and stuff. But yeah,
No, it's right before it because like he so yeah, he goes to the telescope, he looks through it, and
mm-hmm.
you don't know what he sees, but he's kind
Yeah,
of just fascinated by this thing.
mm-hmm.
And then May also, sorry, well Nova as he's calling her right now,
Yeah,
um, he goes, she kind of follows him and she looks through the telescope. And the next morning when they're about to head out, um, Noah says, "Oh no," he said, she saw exactly what I saw. They can't be as like dumb as
mm-hmm.
they seem or whatever." And so like that's when he's like, "She can come, but she has to ride on your horse, basically."
Yeah,
And so they continue their travels. You see like Raka just, even though May can't, like Nova can't talk, he's like just uh, chirping her ear off, talking about
the
like
whole time.
just random things about life and stuff like that. And then like as they're traveling, they just come across a zebra,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like something that neither any of them has ever seen. Like Rocket goes, "Is that a horse with stripes?"
Yeah.
And then they continue traveling a little bit further, and they just see a bunch of zebra at a watering hole.
Hmm.
And then they get off their horses. Well, actually, yeah, they get off their horses, and then we see a few humans also come to the hole, and like very feral,
Hmm.
and like they kind of
And it
look
is the
at
thing.
them. Yes.
That is the thing too. From the get, like, you know, when I first saw Nova in this movie, I was like, she's wearing jeans and like more like
Hmm.
regular clothes.
Yeah.
Interesting. This is way far in the future, and then we see these feral humans, and the feral humans are wearing like loincloths and like very, you know, basic, you know, clothing. So it's kind of even emphasized here, like, why does she have real clothing? And they don't tell you now; they will later. But then you just kind of
Hmm.
get that thought. I was like, why does she have real clothing and these other people don't? And they're
Yeah.
like, you know, for instance, like, she's also not as overgrown. She's not like, you know, the other feral humans have like really long
Long
hair,
hair.
and
Yeah.
like, you know, it's all like kind of like knotted from like, you know, not really having the same upkeep versus her. It's like, interesting. There's some differences here for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so Raka kind of, it was interesting, I guess. Maybe it was like made her. She has a very interesting reaction to seeing these humans. I guess
Hmm.
we can harp on it a little bit later, but it was just like it was interesting to see her reaction to it because
Yeah.
it was very much like in the time it's like seeing others like her,
Hmm.
but then I think it's a little bit deeper. Like when we find out a little bit later, but like so they see the humans, they see the zebras, they're all at the watering hole. So like Raka kind of tries to walk her to meet her people, right?
Hmm.
People like that are like her. And then so Noah sees this and he was like, "Well, she found her people. I need to go on to find my clan."
Yeah.
And so like Raka's like, you need to stay here. We need to like educate them and all this stuff. And he was like, I made a promise to my dad that I would find our clan and return them home. So like Raka's like, you're not gonna say goodbye, and like Noah just kind of rides off.
Yeah.
And so as he rides off, what's her name?
No.
Nova sees.
Mm.
But and then she kind of tries to follow, but like Raka like kind of drags her back to kind of go get her to talk to her clan. And before she can interact with them, we just hear a horn,
Hmm.
and then we see just a bunch of masked apes on horses to basically collect the humans or whatever. And like this is very reminiscent of the original,
Yeah.
or even like Tim Burton they did it too. It was just like them just catching feral humans in nets and cages and stuff like that.
It's
And so we
very
just
not nice. I mean, it's iconic. It really is. Of just like,
yeah.
even like, because if you're looking at it from like an emotional scene, and you want like,
Mhm.
you know, like, I mean, I don't think anybody, because it's so, for lack of a better word, dehumanizing. You know what I mean? To have like all of a sudden like all of these like larger, stronger, smarter things come along, like, you know, animals come and then just like capture all like the
Mhm.
humans, and like we're humans. So like you see that, and I think that's why they kind of keep. That's, I think, like this series kind of focuses on like that scene, because you're right. I think it is like in multiple movies now of the.
Yeah.
This is a 10 movie franchise, but they have you know, like echoes of this scene because it's such a powerful scene, because it shows the powerlessness of humanity at the time, and it
Mhm.
just, yeah, it's
Well,
very.
that's how this series started with Rise. It was like Caesar's mother getting captured
Mhm.
in the forest.
Yeah,
So it was obviously the opposite. But
yeah, but that was okay because it was different.
um, but yeah. So throughout the scene, we see Silva and his men collecting humans, and then bringing different ones to Silva to be like, "Is this her?" So
Mhm.
they're clearly still looking for Nova. And like Silva sees her running because obviously she has shirt and pants on, so like you can't miss her.
Little clear difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he starts chasing her. Like he tells us, forget them. Like let's start chasing her. And so like so she hides in some tall grass, and then we see Noah kind of circle back because he heard the horn. So he went. I guess he's just checking on them. We also see Raka kind of like because they're not concerned with monkeys or whatever. So like, but Raka's like I need to help as well. And so Nova is hiding in the tall grass, um, and Silva and I think three or four of his men are like on her tail. They can't find her, but they're just searching through the grass. She sees Noah on his horse in the distance, but she
Mhm.
can't get his attention because she'll give away her her location or whatever. But then she just kind of risks it. She stands up and she screams out loud, "Noah!" Now I
Mhm.
thought she said no. right?
I think it was Noah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, it
Okay.
was. But it was just like so because that's what Caesar's first words was in Rise when he
Okay.
yelled at Malfoy.
Yeah.
He just screams no. So I thought, like I said, this franchise constantly has Easter eggs and little
Mhm.
moments that have echoed throughout the entire saga.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, that's why I thought initially it was no, but yeah, she said his name. That makes more sense. And so like she gives away her location. Noah sees her. He runs after her on the horse. He's able to catch her before Silva is, and then Raka comes on his horse and like basically like aids them in like fighting off Silva's other men on a horse,
Mhm.
and then they're able to escape. And so like once they are safe or whatever and around another fire, um, this is where they start interrogating her. And oh no, first
Yeah.
they stop at on the side of water, and Noah tells Raka she spoke, she said my name,
Mhm.
and like uh, Raka's like no, that can't be true, and then like she turns around and says more, and she says, my name is actually May.
Yeah.
I can speak more. So like this is when they sit down, and she tells them the story about how like her mother, the reason why she didn't talk because her mother taught her to be silent for her safety or whatever. And this is what I was talking about earlier with Nova and like kind of this, or just I guess apes and the ability to lie or be distrustful, where he was just like literally taken aback at the fact that she was lying to him or she was being like she wasn't being truthful. And it was like it's simple. Obviously in my mind, like you said, as a human, it was like it's for survival. If you
Mhm.
talk, that clearly means in this world
Yeah.
like that's a threat or whatever. But in his mind it's just like we don't lie to one another, we're always honest, we're always truthful. So like that's something that's very much a human thing, right? This is why we can't trust you, because your motive is you keep them, you keep them to yourself. And so, yeah, she tells him that she doesn't have any family because the mass apes killed her family,
Mhm.
and that she was on her way to like she was following Owen because she knew that he could get her to where she needed to be, or whatever. And so, like, there's a little bit of back and forth, but then like he just agrees. They agree to continue on. And so like they go to cross this bridge, and we see that as they're walking across the bridge there are two masked apes underneath,
Mhm.
which is a flashback to Rise, when like the scene on the San Francisco bridge or whatever, or sorry, the Golden Gate Bridge.
Mhm. Mhm.
um,
It's been a long
and
time. I don't really remember.
yeah,
But fair.
I haven't seen the movies either, but it's like I recognize the reference.
Yeah. Fair.
um, And so, as three of them are crossing the bridge, we see Silva at the end on a horse.
Mhm.
And so, like, they go to back up, and there's another guy on the other end of the bridge. So, like, they can't escape. And before they can even try to like make a move, the two apes that were underneath the bridge attack them. Um, Noah gets basically pinned down, and this is continue talking about him like constantly losing battles throughout the film, and kind of have and then like so Nova, sorry, May, because she tells him her name is May. Sorry,
Mhm.
May is able to like evade her capture, but then like she gets kicked into the river.
Yeah.
And so what's his name? Raka tries to save her, but he gets kicked in too. And so he's able to like kind of push her up on the bridge because there's just like this net that she was trapped in. But as she's on the side of the bridge, Silva comes over and cuts the net, and Raka is just like is washed away. But before he gets washed away, he says, "Apes together strong."
Mhm.
And then Noah is forced to watch him like basically being swept up in the current. And so they chain both Noah and May up and kind of just march them um, to their home, to the Silva's home. And then this is where we finally, after like an hour or so,
Yeah.
it's an hour and a half, maybe, we finally get to the kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, ruled
Mhm.
by Proximus Caesar. And so, like, they get there, May is taken off one way, and Noah's like kind of released and allowed to go see his clan. So he first he sees Suna, and then she takes him to his mother or whatever, and they embrace. and he tells her that his father's dead, but she's like, I know. I'm just
Yeah.
so glad
He's
you're
like,
here.
no dip. We all saw it happen. Like, stupid.
All right, all right. He just reported. And so so as he's reuniting with his clan, we see that May is led to like this chamber in the kingdom or whatever. And there we meet Trevathan. What a
Yeah.
name. Um, played by William H. Macy, who's fucking legend.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
who's basically he's a human that can speak,
Yeah.
and because of that, he has usefulness to the apes. So he basically just like reads. Since the apes can't read, he reads books to, and basically is an entertainer to Proximus Caesar. And so he's teaching them about the Roman Empire, and
Hmm.
like things like that. And this is where we get May basically saying like, "Or where do you come from?" Like he asks her where she comes from. She refuses to answer, and she just says, "I'm not the human that's helping the apes or
Yeah.
whatever."
Hell yeah, May. Let him know. Let him know. All right. Like,
And so this is when we finally meet. There's like a a horn, a summoning horn or whatever, and his mom tells him we have to go. So like they gather in the middle of the, I guess, the pit that they're in, type of
yeah.
thing, where they, like the encampment they're being held. And this is where we meet Proximus Caesar, right? So he comes down. He has like a few followers, like in like robes, very reminiscent of a Julius Caesar or like
Hmm.
some Christ-like figure. Um, and so he stands up on this platform or whatever, and he gives a speech. He was like, what a wonderful day," or "What a beautiful day," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he keeps saying "apes together strong," but it was like you can see this distortion of the message the way he says it. It
Sure.
was just like it's more of a threat or something like that. It's not about unity so much. It was just like obviously like the fingers versus the fist and the strength and unity. We can deal a mighty blow type of thing. So it was like he's kind of using this ape strength
Hmm.
for villainy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you look at it. He's like, yeah, he is now an emperor, a dictator of sorts, and like perks, shout outs, I suppose, to his, empire of, hey, he didn't kill, he only killed like two of the apes. I think he killed the elder and like his father, like of like the
Mm,
eagle clan. So like they
yeah,
killed the older elder and the master of birds. And then he's like, the rest of you aren't going to die, but you will have to now work for me. But it's not like they
yeah.
have like, it's not like terrible conditions. Yeah, I wouldn't say they like enslaved them, but like
Hmm.
it's
He's like
intended
he's
to be like,
building a kingdom through forced fealty,
yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Because
No,
even like when in the raid in Noah's village, he goes kneel, and
yeah,
it was like now we because the elders kneeled to uh Proximus, now we all he owns us type of
yeah,
thing.
hmm,
But it was by force, but it wasn't like violence.
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain,
It
but
was
yeah,
violence at first, but yeah, it was like
yeah,
make the elder kneel, and then, but that's also you look at like I guess like the ape, like societal norms of like if whoever is the alpha, just their word is law, and everyone just kind of falls in line and listens to them. And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, because you see that, and I'll mention at the end too a little bit. When that happens, I was like, why aren't any of y'all helping this man? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, but yeah,
And so, what happens? What happens? What happens? Yeah. So he gives a speech, and then like you see him like basically every day they're attempting to open this bunker.
hmm,
That's where he set his kingdom up. It's on the coast, like so they had to build like this, um, I guess dam or something like that to like get so that the ocean waters wouldn't kind of come in. And like every day he makes an attempt to open up this bunker. So like I think it's like gunpowder or something like that. It's obviously very primitive. It's kind of post apocalyptic.
hmm,
Um, but he attempts to open it. He's very enthusiastic and charismatic about like once we open it, like all our dreams will come true, type of thing like that. It fails,
yep,
um, and you see, and you also see like the because like I said, he's very charismatic. He's like smiling and like very jovial, but then like this fails, and you kind of see the twitch of like, oh, there's something
hmm.
sinister about this guy.
There, I will say there is, but I will say at least with all of that, even when it fails, he is like oh well, all right, we'll be stronger tomorrow, and he just walks.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't whip any of the monkeys,
Yeah, oh,
he
yeah.
doesn't like, yeah, and that was the thing I was talking about. He doesn't like be like, oh, you're all useless and blah blah blah. He recognizes like, well, we failed, we'll try again tomorrow, and like
Mm-hmm.
obviously disappointed, and like he does have anger inside him for sure. There's anger here, but he doesn't take it out on all of them, which I think when you're talking about as like layers of, he's a very gray antagonist because like
Mm-hmm.
he does at the end of the day want to make sure that apes are the strongest. He does want to rule a planet. 100%. If that man had his way, he would be the head ape in charge of the
Mm-hmm.
entire planet. But like even how he's going about it is terrible, but it's not as terrible as it could be as well. So it is kind of like that whole like mixture of looking at this person as an antagonist, because then you see, coming up here when someone spills something, he has that same of like,
Mm-hmm.
leave. You know what I mean? Instead of, but he might have been doing that because Noah was there too. But yeah, anyway,
Mm-hmm.
no. But yeah, just he was. I found him fascinating. I did. I found
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
antagonist fascinating. Yeah.
And so after the failed attempt at opening the bunker, he basically summons Noah to like a dinner, and this is where we see him sitting on his throne, and there's a table set out for them to eat, and it's Trevathan, May, and then what's his name, Noah sitting at kind of at the opposite end
Mhm.
of the table. Um, and this is where we hear him, Proximus, say, like, I heard that you're a clever ape. Like,
Mhm.
because Noah was able to fix the cattle prod
Yeah.
at some point during the journey. He was able to fix it.
He realized that he needed the batteries, which that was even like it was because he saw the wires and he was like, okay, I'm connecting wires, this isn't working, and then he realized the other apes had like the battery pack, so it was like
Mhm.
two level of Noah being a very clever ape. So yeah.
Yeah. And so he mentions that, and then, like, oh, he basically tells him his plan. He's trying to get into the bunker because he was like, that will be the evolution of apes. He was like,
Mhm.
are you familiar with evolution? And then he asked him if May had told him anything about what was in the bunker or how to get into the bunker
Mhm.
during their travel. And right before they had gotten captured or whatever, May did tell him, like, basically she had told him something, but it was also like, trust me, like, I know I was untrustworthy prior, but it was like, trust me, don't tell him anything that I tell you, type of thing.
Yeah.
So Noah says, no, she didn't tell me anything. What's his name? Proximus calls him over to the window or whatever, and he's just like, look at this, look at, what do you see?
Mhm.
And like, I can't remember what Noah says, but he was like, it's my kingdom,
He said
right?
he said stolen plans. No, it was like, I see stolen
Thank you.
plans. Yeah.
And Proxima says, this is my kingdom, right? And it was just like, you can't trust humans, like they're harping, basically saying you can't trust humans because their motives, they always keep them secret, and
Mhm.
it's usually for their benefit, not yours. They want us basically back in cages.
Yeah.
Um, so we apes together strong. We need to be together against them.
Mhm.
Um, and so, and then he also mentions that basically May knows more than she lets on, because like when they had, so like, and also we keep finding out that like whatever she's been telling him whatever she's been telling Noah hasn't been fully true.
Mhm.
And so Proxima shows them a map. Basically, I think that so they had raided one of her village, killed everyone because they didn't realize that they could talk,
Yeah.
and but she was able to survive. And what they found was a map or whatever, and I think that's how they knew to find this bunker to try to get into it. And so, like, clearly she's smarter than she lets on. Like, her and her clan were smarter than they let on, and then also that she must know how to get into it if she had a map to it.
So
Um,
that does make me wonder. I'm like, how long ago did this happen? From a timeline perspective, you're like, they've been chasing May for a couple weeks. So like they've been, when did they find when did they discover the bunker versus when did they start chasing after May versus
yeah.
how did they build this entire like entrenchment to like keep the water away from the bunker door, so quickly?
Mhm.
If it was only a couple weeks, was it already there? They just kind of came across it. There are a few unanswered plot hole questions with this, I'd say, but as a whole, cool.
Yeah.
Humans figure out bunker. Cool. Yeah.
Mhm. And so I think he sends them all away. And I think that night he goes to visit May
hmm
in her chambers or whatever. after what's it, Trevathan leaves to tell Proximus like stories
And
that night
lessons or whatever. Yeah.
and lessons, yeah. And so Noah comes in and he's basically like, "You've been lying to me this whole time. I need you to be honest with me, right?"
Yeah.
And he asks her like, what's in the bunker? Um, will it? I can't damn what it. I can't remember all the questions he
He was
asked.
like, "What's
But
in the bunker? What's going on? And then will water destroy it?"
yes,
Yeah, because like he realizes like with a Proximus Caesar that there probably is too much power in that bunker
yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
Caesar. So he's like, "All right, well, if you can get what you need, and then we can destroy it, so that way me and my clan can
Because
survive."
she mentioned that what's in the bunker when he asked, she was like basically something to help humans speak.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so but he's like, all right, fine, I'll help you if you are honest, finally, actually honest with me.
Hmm.
And so like she tells him like that's what she needs in the bunker. It's definitely whatever's in there. Um, it was like you don't want someone like a Proximus having it
Hmm.
in his possession, and then also that water will destroy it. So like that's why they had made the little dam um, outside of the bunker.
Yeah.
And so he goes back and he's like, okay, I'll help you. So like he goes back to recruit what's his name, Suna and Anya, because obviously his best friends. And like I said, I keep saying I think this story would have been a lot better if it was just the three of them working.
Mhm.
Like the clan gets captured, the three of them have to go on a journey to release the clan, and you kind of see more of their interactions, and then they have to just work together to
Yeah.
accomplish a goal, type of thing. I think the whole movie should have been that,
Hmm.
and it would have been a lot to me a little bit stronger. But he goes to recruit them. Suna's like, obviously she's down,
Yep.
but Anya, I think it was also interesting. Like, obviously they're very close. Like we saw that throughout the film, but it was like Anya's just like, I'm too scared.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned being scared earlier, but still being brave enough to complete a task while being scared. But I think it was just interesting. He said he was too scared, and he lays back down. And it was like, God, what has happened to him
Hmm.
since coming here, right?
Yeah.
Because he was at the dinner with the four of them with Proximus, and like he spilled something,
Yeah.
and like um, Proximus like just told him to leave, but
Hmm.
it was just like, what has he had to endure
Yeah.
since being here that has like essentially broken him?
Hmm.
And
No,
I
for
think
sure.
it was very interesting to see. So like he just lays down. Noah just kind of puts his hand on him, was like, I understand, like,
Which
yeah.
was also a great part from him doing, like was like, yeah, I understand you're scared, and then that was like, I'm
Mhm.
not judging you for it. I'm not saying, I'm not like whatever. It was very much a Noah sees this and sees his friend is in pain and scared, and
Mhm.
like, okay, you did the best you could up to this point, and I'm not going to hold that against you, which also speaks a lot, again, for Noah's character here too, of just, yeah, of that comfort in this time. Because you could be like, nah, man, now's not the time. You can't be
Yeah.
doing this. We have things we got to do. Like, you need to figure your shit out. No, he's like, I understand. And then we'll do what we need to do. Yeah.
And so Noah and Suna meet up with May. He introduces to her, and it was like basically they're setting up charges to blow up
Mhm.
the dam. Sorry, um, to basically if once the actual bunker is open, they can just flood it,
Mhm.
so that Proximus can't get what's in there. And so as they're setting everything up, we see an ape kind of show up in the shadows, and it's terrifying first, and then you find out that it's Anya,
Mhm.
and he's just like, "You can't do this without me," basically.
Yeah.
Um, so he's kind of overcoming his fear. And so, like after that, after they set the charges on the bridge, oh sorry, as they're setting the charges on the bridge, um, Trevathan comes, and he was just like, why are you doing this?
Mhm.
Like, you could have just got with the program. That old world doesn't exist anymore. This is the world that we live in, type of thing." And then May tries to appeal to his human side, like basically saying like the apes, don't deserve what's in there. Um, we could, the humans could rule again, which I just need your help.
Mhm.
And like he just kind of says, he says he's gonna skin your ape friend alive and you as well.
Yeah.
And then he kind of just walks away. And as he's walking away, May jumps on his back and just chokes him out until he dies.
Yeah. Which, for the record, that wasn't long enough to kill him. He was definitely unconscious. You'll get that. And it's like,
Well, anytime somebody would do that, once again, this is hypothetical. So it was like, if somebody starts choking me, I'll just play dead after like a few seconds.
and then they
Like,
don't know because they just assume. They just that's the thing with movies. It's like, oh, I've held it for 10, 20 seconds.
what are you doing?
Yeah. But they do dump his ass in the ocean afterwards, so he's
Yeah.
definitely dead after that, like 100%.
And so, but yeah, so she kills Trevathan in front of the three apes, and then like this is once again like seeing the actions of human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just like they're just all kind of shocked by this, but like kind of I guess go along.
Because
But it is
humans get shit done, all right? Because when a human,
it makes them very wary of her.
Sorry, we can do what needs to be done to like make sure shit goes right. All right.
No, it's so great in certain contexts. But yeah, so after they dump Trevathan's body over the into the ocean, they go up to the side of the mountain, the side of the cliff or whatever, and they start climbing. And once they get to the top, they kind of see like the I guess vents or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that were ventilating air and stuff into the bunker. And so they sneak in through the vents or whatever. They light torches so they can see. And then once they get into the bunker, what's her name? May kind of turns on a generator,
Mm-hmm.
so like it supplies some power throughout the bunker. And we can see that this bunker has been abandoned. Well, not maybe abandoned, but it was like everybody has died.
Everyone's dead. Yeah. I would have liked to see more skeletons in there, but that's just like my Fallout speaking to me. You know what I mean? Like the Fallout series, you see a lot more skeletons and stuff. I would have loved to see that, but hey, this is PG.
I think, but what was interesting in this too is just like as they're walking through the bunker, Suna says Echoes did this and kind of impressed because once again, after 300 years after the initial, the rise and all that, they don't have any experiences, especially the Eagle Clan. They don't have experiences with humans,
Mm-hmm.
and if they have had it, it's been feral ones.
Yeah.
So to see that these feral beasts at some point created all of this, this infrastructure, these, it was like just kind of fascinating to Suna, Anya, and Noah. And so like I think she leaves them as they're walking through. She leaves them for a bit, and they're just like I guess in a classroom. It seems like, and they're looking through like different books, and he's showing them that like the symbols mean something,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking through a picture book, and May goes off, and as they're looking through the picture book, they see one based on like a child's trip to the zoo, and he's just seeing a bunch of. So he sees a zebra at the zoo, and then they see an ape, a chimpanzee,
Mm-hmm.
in a cage or whatever, and it was like it brings back this idea, like because Caesar's philosophy was that humans and apes live side by side. Oh, that's what he asked her.
Yeah.
That's what one of the questions he asked her before. It was just like. Did humans and apes ever live together in unity? And she says, no, the apes were silent.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it was just like kind of this idea. It was just like, well, obviously you're trying to bring back humanity, but it was like, what does that mean for us going forward as us being the apes?
Yeah.
And so him seeing that picture book really kind of solidifies this idea like that the equality that Caesar was preaching might not have been exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still kind of pushing back on this belief and this religion that has been passed down through generations. So as they're in the classroom looking at the book, and she picks up a doll, and that's another Easter egg to I think the second movie or something like that. This little doll. Again, like I said, it's one of those things like obviously they put it in there knowing this series, it means something.
Yeah.
But so while they're in the classroom looking, we see May. She grabs an axe and makes her way to like some room that has like a bunch of servers and then computers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like she's opening like these different cabinets, and she finds one with guns in it, and then another one with like I guess a data chip or something like that.
Yeah, it was multiple data chips too. I'm like, how did she know which was the right one? Yeah.
So she grabs it and she puts it away, and then like she looks back at the gun rack or whatever, and then like she makes her way back to the apes, and she was like, we can go now. So like they go to leave, and they need to. They're at the door of the bunker, but from the other side,
Mm-hmm.
obviously inside. and she says, "We're not going to have a lot of time, so we need to like, I'm going to blow up the dam, and you get your clan out of here." And
Yeah.
it's basically one of those things like, I know I was deceitful, but like, I am sticking to my word. I am helping you get your clan out.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so she opens the door, and as the doors are opening, you see sunlight come in because obviously it's morning. But at the front of the door is Proximus, and like, so I think being that he learned from Trevathan about the Roman Empire and like things like that, he kind of planted Noah, knowing that Noah would be able to help him get with
Mm-hmm.
May to open the door.
Yeah.
So basically, a very elaborate game of chess. And so like he kind of scolds Noah, like the fact that like he trusted a human being or whatever. And so like he brings in he sees, oh, and in the bunker we see, at least in the front, there's a bunch of like tanks and
Mm-hmm.
army vehicles and stuff like that. And so Proximus brings in the Eagle Clan, and he's just like, "No, you need to pick." He has one of his guards like put a knife to Suna's neck
Mm-hmm.
because it's very clear that he has feelings for her. May had mentioned it a little bit earlier, and so he has one of his guards put a knife to Suna's neck, and he was like, "Choose between the human or your or apes.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to choose?" Like Noah's like can't decide or whatever, but before he can make a decision, before the ape slits Suna's neck, you just hear a gunshot ring out because what's her name? May had taken one of the pistols,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the revolver.
Yeah,
Sorry,
revolver. Yeah.
yeah, from the gun rack, and so like and she has shot the ape that was holding Suna, and so like the ape like sees the blood and just falls dead.
Yeah.
And so like all these other apes are like, "What the fuck is that?" Because they haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
any of this technology.
Versus Proximus is just like, whoa, hey, there's more of that in there.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
there's
exactly.
more of
He's
that.
like,
Oh, yeah.
he definitely stood back behind his behind
Yeah.
Silver.
Yeah.
He was just like, "There's more of that shit in there. You can go, get out of there. You're
He's like,
free."
yeah, go on, that's fine. Like, you're free. Do whatever. I don't care. As
And then, because he was asking what was her plan, that's why he had held Suna hostage. He was asking what was May's plan after she opened the bunker, or why she wanted to get in there.
Yeah.
And Noah didn't tell her. And then Noah, after Proximus tells her that she can leave, he's like, don't do this. Like, don't do what you're planning to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Noah did tell this her, and she's just like, you can't have that. Like, basically, that's humans stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, so she runs out to the side of the bunker door, and like she ignites the charge, and the dam blows up, and the water starts rushing into the bunker.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so she gets off to the side, and then like Noah's telling the Eagle Clan to climb,
Yeah.
because the water is going to just flood the entire bunker. And so, his mom is like swept up by the current at one point, but like they're able to help her, and then like the Eagle Clan just starts climbing because he knows the way out. That's how they're just going out the way they're going out the way they came in. So they need to climb to the top to get to the air vent to make it to the cliff. And so like Suna and Anya are leading their clan, and I guess any monkeys that are there, any apes that are there, to the air vent or whatever. And as he's like leading the group to the air vent, you see it was a very epic scene. It was very reminiscent of Darth Vader in the hallway in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Really, so it was all dark, and you just see the lightsaber or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So just like there's just like a water falling, and you just see Silver's giant ass like just step through it, and he just starts attacking Noah. And it's like, this was fucking. I was like, bro, the building is falling around us. Yeah. Can we fight outside? God damn.
No, it's got to end here. No. This needs to end here.
How much do you hate to ignore the destruction around you? We are in a volcano. Can we not fight outside, please?
The answer is you hate him a lot. All right, and then as long as you hate him a lot, all is forgiven. His
anger is off the charts. I was like, bruh, it's literally it's damming up. Okay, we need to get out of here. I will fight you outside. I promise. If we need it,
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, so they fight, and you also see like Noah just kind of using the environment to kind of trap Silver, because obviously he's a lot bigger. Noah's a little nimbler, and like he just traps him underneath some pipes and just watches as Silver drowns.
Mm-hmm.
And then he makes his way up the vent outside. He sees his clan, and once he gets there, he gets attacked again by by Proximus, who has also made it out. And Proximus is basically saying like, "You done fucked up now, Aaron." And he's like, "You're gonna bend the knee as well, like before I kill you."
Yeah.
And so we get another moment of like Noah not being able to basically out brawn somebody, but he can outsmart them.
Yeah.
And so like he gets knocked down. Proximus tells him to stand up so he can, take the knee before he dies. And Noah starts singing the song for the Eagles that Rock had asked him to sing it earlier, but like Noah kind of was just like, I guess it was reminding him of his father who had just passed, but he kind of didn't want to sing for him.
Yeah.
And so he starts singing the song for the Eagles. And two things. One, when he starts singing, Proximus said, "Oh, Rocco would love this," and it was like,
Oh, did he?
yeah, he did.
Okay.
He mentions Rocco in this moment, so it was like, holy shit! There's like, so how?
Huh.
What is that? What was that relationship type of thing?
Yeah.
And then also right before Noah had made the plan with May, he had kind of given up, and then like he put his hand out, and Eagle's son, who has been kind of following him this whole time, lands on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't attack him, but basically a show of respect. And so Noah, as he's like singing the song, refusing to kneel to Proximus, the Eagles start attacking Proximus, and as he's singing, so do the other Eagle Clan apes, and so all of their Eagles come and start just attack Proximus until he falls off the cliff to his death.
Yeah.
And then they make their way back to their village, and they rebuild and make it a lot bigger and stronger to protect themselves from outsiders. As what's his name? As Noah's there, I think he's kind of taken the place of his father. It seems like
he's definitely like elders are pretty high up after all that. Yeah.
And so one of them, sooner somebody lets him know that he has a visitor, and it's May. And so like she just says, "I just came to say goodbye." And then this is where we get the kind of the crux of this film. It was just like, in a world where, because obviously apes have been ruling this world for 300 years or so, right? If humans come back, where does that leave the apes? It was just like, can they actually live side by side?
Yeah.
Or are you going to try to reclaim the world that was quote unquote taken from you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The apes going to come at the humans again? Because if so, then yeah, apes got to go again.
You do realize, like, what's his name? James Franco on the first one created the virus that fucked up the human race. Humans, right? Apes was just trying to be free because he was testing them and all this shit. Even in the in the war for the planet Apes, it was a war between humans. Apes just happened to be in the middle because they were captured.
No, apes' fault. It
was just like really interesting because it reminded me of like I guess after one of the world wars where like women had to take over the jobs because all the men were at war. And then we talked about this was A League of Their Own, right? Sure. It was just like you had women taking over these roles. So it was like, what do you want us to do when the men come back? To just go back to the kitchen? No, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the same way. It was just like the apes have been ruling this planet.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, if the humans do rise up, we're not going back in cages. We're not going back to being silent. So it's like, where does that leave us? Do you want to live in harmony, or do you want to be the dominant species?
As long as the apes can live in harmony. That's what I say. If they can live in harmony with us, then sure. All right.
Back to your punk ass bunkers. I'm just Team Caesar. I think that's what I'm. Yeah, so they have an exchange, and it was just like, also, you see the whole exchange. May has the pistol behind her back.
Yeah.
And so Caesar just says, we're going to, build stronger. We're going to build up stronger. We're going to explore. We're going to do better than the generation before us, type of thing. And he gives her the necklace that he had with Caesar's logo, just basically to remember.
Yeah.
And so she leaves. She goes off. She leaves, And then also, what's his name? Caesar and Suna leave, and he takes her to the observatory to show her the telescope
Hmm.
or whatever, and what he saw in the telescope. And then there's a flash as they're walking past. There's a flash of an astronaut, like basically hinting towards space,
Yeah.
possibly somewhere they might go. Because in the original, I believe Charlton Heston and his they were all astronauts, and they landed on Earth
Yeah.
like 3,000, like 1,000 years after or whatever. That's how it became the Planet of the Apes. It was
Mhm.
like I think the year like 38 something
Yeah.
or
Yeah. So
35.
way in the future kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of hinting at space for the next one, and it was like they're doing that at the observatory, and then we see May make her way through the desert to another like a bunker or whatever.
Hmm.
And she brings the data chip that she found. They plug it in, and it was like you see. She goes outside, and you see a bunch of satellites, and with the chips, with the final chip that she found, they're able to make communication with
Yeah.
what was it, Fort Wayne, Indiana, or
Yeah.
something
I
like
think
that. I'm
Indiana
pretty
or
sure that
Illinois.
this is all based in Chicago because it started out in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So it's just like humans are able to, when she said speak, maybe not the feral ones, but basically for them to speak across
Yeah.
the world,
Hmm.
right? Because obviously the world is going into decline and it's basically utter chaos. Everybody's kind of separated, so like they're able to contact another bunker,
Yeah.
um, and then kind of it's just the possibilities of what's next. You see kind of from both the human side and the ape side with Caesar. Um, and then the movie ends. It goes to black. I don't know if you stayed for the end credits.
I did not. What happened in the end credits?
So I didn't either. It was just like because it said it was just an audio sound. I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
basically, I think it was like Raka laughing or something like that, showing that he's still alive.
Got you. Cool. All right. Yeah.
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 But yeah, so and that's the end of the movie.
Nice. And that is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. All right, so at the end of every show, we always like to review our original rankings. Mike, you gave this a 4 out of 5. Are you sticking with it?
I'm sticking with it. I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think the only thing I would change,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I mean, you mentioned there are a few, I guess, plot holes or questions that you have about the plot, but I think the movie overall
Mm-hmm.
was such a great story that you kind of just let let it slide.
Yeah.
So I do agree with some of the plot holes you brought up, and I think it would have been a better journey if once again leave the humans out of it, right? We can bring them back whenever.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been more interesting if Noah, Suna, and Anya went on a journey to find to basically bring the clan back.
Mm-hmm.
They could have still met Raka. I think he was a vital, and I think he's a crowd favorite in this
Yeah.
film. So that could have still been a thing, um, with him educating them about Caesar and stuff like that, to continue the philosophy. But I just think it would have been more interesting to see the dynamic of that trio
Sure.
throughout the film. Because even like, so I didn't bring it up during the summary, but it was just like Soon at one point says, "Oh, you're different now," to Noah once he makes it to the encampment, because he's gone through, like, he's been educated, he's seen some things like and stuff like that, and so like you've seen him weep as the audience saw him grow,
Yeah.
and Suna immediately recognizes it in him. So like I thought it'd been interesting if the three of them kind of had to go through a growth. Still keep the core there.
Mm-hmm.
We're just like, but they're just that bond. Their bond just gets closer because of the journey they had to go on. I think that's the only thing I would have changed about the movie. But other than that, like you said, I think the storytelling was great. Cinematography was amazing. Like every part of it, like, just was really great. There was a little bit of spotty CGI, I think, like with some of the movements for what's his name, Proximus, when he arrives. But that's just minimal. Like I just really enjoyed the story, and it, like, obviously you see here is very much a who's right, who's wrong type of thing. Like it's not very much like a paint by numbers type of story. And, like, everybody has their opinions on it. But yeah, so I'm sticking with the 4. I really, really enjoy this, and I can't wait to see it again in a steady seat.
Nice. Sounds good. Cool. Yeah, I gave it a 3.5. I'm gonna stick with my 3.5. I think it's a very solid movie and a very worthy. Even though this is coming from someone who's seen probably like 4 of the Planet of the Apes movies now.
Mhm.
I think the original, the Tim Burton remake, the 2011 one with Franco, and this one. So I've only seen like 4 of the 10. But to me, it seems like a very good chapter of the Planet of the Apes franchise. So solid movie all in all. Yeah, I think mainly maybe for me, like some of the more simplistic elements are holding me back from like a four. And then yeah, just pretty solid movie, definitely blockbustery, which is not a bad thing by any means, and enjoyable. I'd say go check it out. But thank you again, everybody, for listening. We are the Meddling Kids. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at 2meddlingkids on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, or you can email us at 2meddlingkids@gmail.com. Mike, how can they reach out to you?
On Instagram at Days from Legendary.
Love it. And you can reach out to me at edhunt77 on Twitter and Instagram, and hunt.comics on Instagram and TikTok. We'll be back next week with a brand new movie. Catch everybody.
Bye.
Listen.